Welcome to the Popeye Saturday Showdown on Senior Day, where the Beavers have 12 seniors taking the field for one last time. My name is Dalton Davis. I will be joined later by Clayton Hawkins. We are live in the Hartnett Hall studios on the campus of Minot State University. We got some more segments on the way later in the show about hot topics, but right now I am joined with head coach Ian Shields. Coach, thanks for joining me this morning.
I appreciate it, Dalton. Excited to be here and talk a little Beaver football on Senior Day.
Yeah, last time we get to talk to you. Just overall, I just want to start with this season as a whole. You know, last week of the year, how would you rate this season as a whole, and as far as your expectations going into it, and how you feel overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think we took a significant step forward as a football program this season. You know, coulda, shoulda, woulda in a few games, and we could be sitting here talking about a winning season, and that would have been really historic, obviously. But we've made history and had the most wins in the D2 era here at Minot State, and like I said, we got a game to play today. Hopefully, we come out on the right end of the scoreboard on that one. But this day is about probably not as much as big picture reflection. It's more about reflecting on these seniors and getting them out of here with a big victory today.
Yeah, talk about those seniors. You guys had 12 seniors taking this field for one last show today, and just talk about them and their leadership on the field.
Yeah, they've been instrumental in just changing this program. You know, and we had a rough season in our first year here last year, a lot of transition, turmoil, if you will. Coaching changes are always hard on teams, you know, and so this is a group that stuck with it and really helped change the culture, not only on the field, but off the field, in the locker room, the internal piece of it. So some great guys. I mean, the Dirty Dozen, you know, there's 12 of them. And we're going to miss them, you know. So they've done a lot for us, a lot for our coaching staff, and they've been great teammates to all those guys in that locker room. So, like I said, hopefully we send them off the right way. There's, you know, all 12 of them are too many to name, you know. But there's some significant players in that group, obviously. I mean, we have 4 starting offensive linemen that are seniors that have broken a lot of huddles here. You know, you look at Carson Psychos, one of the leading tacklers in the history of the school, was playing his last game today. You know, all of them I could mention and go on and on. All of them have had significant contributions to our program, and we're thankful for each of them.
Yeah, this week has been probably an emotional week, I can imagine. A lot of lasts. What has just the practice looked like and the feel overall as a team?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's an emotional week. Every time you're doing something, it's the last time you're doing it. You know, it was, you know, on Tuesday, you know, it was our last padded practice, right? And I heard Emmett Espino, our left guard, go. He makes a trap block, and he's like, "Damn, I'm gonna miss this." You know, so that's when it starts hitting you. That's when it starts. This is real. You know, it's significant. And like I said, today, I mean, every practice, today is the last walkthrough, right? Before today's last pregame meal. Like, everything's the last time they're putting the pads on today. So, and then, you know, hopefully we send them off, like I said, the right way, and it's the last time they sing the fight song with a victory in the locker room.
Yeah, we want that at the end of the game today for sure. Well, let's go back 2 weeks ago. I had you on the show. You guys lost a heartbreaker against Moorhead, but there was a lot of things you guys did good and a lot of things that you mentioned after the game that your defense did well, especially. You guys had 2 takeaways during that game. What did you like about your defense 2 weeks ago?
Well, the takeaways, we'll start there. You know, that was big. Certainly our defense had a challenge, you know, against Moorhead. Moorhead's unique in how they play. We knew that. Their quarterback was the offensive player of the year in the conference last year. They got some talented wide receivers. So the takeaways gave us a chance. You know, I thought, you know, we didn't do our defense a ton of favors with the field position. Obviously, we turned the ball over twice there in the fourth quarter on offense that, you know, put us on short fields. Our kicking game could have helped us as well with our return units or kickoff units. So that, you know, that being said, we still got 42 points. So that's too many, right? And so conversely, offensively, really, was a lot of good football being played offensively where, you know, I think we ran for over 350 yards on the day, and weren't stopped that many times. I think what got us beat was some uncharacteristic mistakes. Like I mentioned, that we had the turnovers late. We had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and then the penalties. Going into that game, we were the least penalized team in all of college football. Yeah. We've been penalized 29 times the entire season, and then we were penalized 10 times, you know, in that last game against Moorhead. So, like I said, that was the difference. You know, it was there's enough good things to win that game, but then there's, you know, some silly mistakes that'll break your heart, and that's the threshold we got to get past and win and close out those close games in the fourth quarter. And it should play right to our strengths with how we're tooled.
Yeah. How do you talk about the penalties and the turnovers. How do you address that? You guys coming off the bye week, kind of an awkward bye week this last week. How do you kind of take the last 2 weeks and prepare for one game?
Yeah, the bye week is, like I said, it has been an awkward time. A week 10 bye week you don't have very often. But that being said, it does give us a chance to, correct some things that we got to get fixed. And then it gives us a chance to rest some guys a little bit and get them healthier for this last game. So we can be as close to full speed as probably we've been in a long time, So that's been an advantage on both scenarios, just in preparation, and then obviously with our overall health. So I think it's as awkward as it's been. I think it really we'd like to spin it as a positive, and obviously we'll see how that turns out here in a few hours.
Yeah. Before we went live, I was talking to you about just Winona and how their statistics, they're not really great at anything. They're not horrible at anything. They're very well coached, a very fundamental team. What do you see going into this week as far as your preparation facing them?
Yeah, I mean, Winona's a good team. They're good in all three phases, like you mentioned. They're well coached. Coach Berge does a great job there. Actually, their quarterback, running back coach, A.J. Parnell, is my first cousin, which is really weird. So we need to win so I can rub it in at the family reunion. So that's a starting point. But no, they're good, and I think they're exceptional. I think they do an exceptional job in the kicking game. They're up there in most statistical categories in the special teams. So, like I said, we'll have a challenge that way as well today. That people don't talk about that third phase of the game very often, but they do a really nice job there. So. Aside from that, though, I think we've proven we can play with anybody, move the ball against anyone, play defense against anyone. It's about us. I mean, if we play with the effort I expect us to play with and the physicality that I expect us to play with, I'd expect us to be singing the fight song at the end of the day.
Yeah, hopefully there is a fight song, and hopefully that we can get those seniors one last hurrah. But I talked to you 2 weeks ago. I asked you about the weather. 2 weeks ago, the weather wasn't really an issue. It was a nice day, which is shocking for Minot, North Dakota in November. This today might be a different story. It's going to be wet. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be the first really wintry day we've seen, which is super unfortunate because yesterday was a nice day and this whole week has been super nice. So how do you just kind of go into today with the preparation of just the inclement weather?
Well, we've addressed it with our team, obviously, and frankly, that's kind of how our program was built. Like, we knew we were coming to Minot, North Dakota, and putting our styles of play in there, and what we do offensively is perfect for this situation. I hope it gets worse, honestly. I hope it starts snowing sideways and there's a 30-mile-an-hour wind. We're an all-weather Army. We'll be fine. I think we got the fundamentals and techniques associated with it. We've handled the ball. We've practiced with a wet ball all week. I think we're as well prepared as we can be, and now we just got to go execute and let the chips fall as they may.
How important is a win today as far as carrying the momentum over to next season?
Well, I think it'd be big. Like I said, it's not, wouldn't be the end of the world if we lost. I mean, it's just football. I mean, but for our start with the seniors, it'd be great to get them out of here with a win, and just another notch in their belt as they exit our program. And then for all the guys coming back, and there's a big chunk of guys coming back next year. They just think to put a little wind in our sails in the off-season, program, feeling good going into Thanksgiving. Certainly won't hurt in the recruiting as well. We're way ahead of track as far as in recruitment right now. Like, we have 21 commits right now at this time in the 25 class. A year ago at this time we had 4.
Wow.
So we've made big progress in a lot of places. And again, a lot of that's due to this senior class and then the investment they've made, and everyone else is following suit. So it's a big day. 5 is better than 4. We'd like it to be 6, 7, or 8 right now. But, like I said, to be 1-0 this week's the goal.
Yeah, you talk about those recruits that you're getting. I think that probably has to do with a lot of the improvements that you guys have made this season. You guys have shown that you can run the ball this year. You've shown that you can play defense at a high level. Like, how does that contributed to you getting recruits this year?
Yeah, I think it's huge just to validate the process, right? To validate what's going on here. You can't do it without good players, and then we have to develop them and give them the schemes to compete with. So we're 10 points better on offense than we were last year. We're 10 points better on defense than we were last year, which is 20 in total, right? So we've made huge strides that way. We have to keep the arrow pointed up. We have to improve next year. Like, we can't be content with where we're sitting. We're not where we want to be. But we are climbing this mountain. You know, we're on the ascent of this the northern Sun Conference. So, you know, we're on the ascent.
Well, one last question. What's your message? One last game to these seniors. What's your message to them?
Yeah, I mean, when I talked to them last night about this, like the best thing for all these guys, these seniors included, is just go do what we do. Like, enjoy it, savor the experience, and take advantage of this opportunity. You know, go leave no doubt. Go play. The goal is to play as physical, as disciplined, and tough a game as everyone played on that field, and that's the goal today.
Well, thank you for joining me today, Coach. Good luck today. 1 p.m., guys, at the Herb. They're going to be taking on Winona State. Be there. Bring your coats. It's going to be a cold one, but hopefully an entertaining one where we can get the Beavers one last victory this season. Coach, for all that you do for our Pro-Com department, coming in here every Saturday for the Saturday Showdown, thank you for your contribution to us.
Thank you, Don. My pleasure. Roll Beavs.
All right, we're going to kick it to a quick underwriting break. We're going to have Clayton updating us on the NSIC, and then Hot Topics is going to be coming up later.
There you go.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Welcome back to the Saturday Showdown presented by Popeyes. I want to give one more thank you and shout out to Coach Ian Shields for joining us this entire season. We've had about 5 pregame shows. I think this is our 5th one this year, and we want to thank him for coming in every Saturday and just giving us insight as far as the Beavers go. But we also want to give a shout out to Popeyes and their awesome sponsorship of our show each Saturday. We get an awesome opportunity to eat their wonderful chicken sandwiches every Saturday, and it's always something I look forward to. Guys, check them out at 701-885-4654 for all your Popeyes needs. Once again, thank you, Popeyes, for donating and sponsoring us. With that being said, we're going to kick it to some NSIC. Clayton, there's a lot of stuff heating up right now in the NSIC and a lot of action today going on.
Absolutely. Not too many closely compacted games, but there is one in particular, and I'll definitely get to it in a short time. But we're going to start this off by coming off their bye week. The Minot State Beavers look to finish their strong season on a high note as they take on the Winona State Warriors at Herb Parker Stadium. The Warriors look to also get one final win this season as they won their previous matchup versus the winless Southwest Minnesota State Mustangs by a score of 37-15. Winona State enters the day at an overall record of 5-5. On the other side, the Beavers look to overcome their tough loss to Minnesota Moorhead as the Dragons beat the Beavers 42-38 in the fourth quarter. The Beavers enter the day with an overall record of 4-6, although a win today would go a long way in capping off this historic D2 season. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. Minot State's in-state rival, University of Mary, faces a tough matchup at home versus Minnesota State Moorhead. Moorhead looks to bounce back after taking an L in their previous matchup with Bemidji State last week as the Beavers cruise to a win 25-14 over the Dragons. Minnesota Moorhead has plenty to play with this upcoming game against UMary as a win today would give the Dragons a winning season. while UMary is hoping to not repeat a performance from last week as the Marauders lost to their previous matchup, Minnesota-Mankato, 49-21. Is UMary seeking its third win this year or a speedy end to yet another disappointing season? Who's to say? Kickoff's at noon. And if watching a program on life support isn't your thing, then perhaps an NSIC matchup with the playoff implications is your brand of whiskey. The number one team in the NSIC, Augustana University, takes on Bemidji, goes to Bemidji to take on the Bemidji State Beavers. The Augustana Vikings entered today's matchup at 8-2 following a previous win against crosstown rival Sioux Falls, in which the Augustana won the game 27-21. Augustana looks to keep its spot in the top of the NSIC rankings, while the Bemidji State looks to knock off a top-seeded Vikings. Bemidji State cruised past their previous matchup with University of Moorhead 25-14 last week. Bemidji gave the team an overall record of 7-3 and the third seed in the NSIC. With the playoffs just around the corner, both teams will be fighting for the top spot in the NSIC as well as a potential playoff berth in the Division II playoffs. Kickoffs at 1. Want to shout out our seniors on Senior Day. Be there at the Herb at 1. Want to shout out our 12 seniors. Have a great game. And also want to shout out our women's soccer. They just won the semifinals against their opponent and penalty kicks of all things. And they will be taking on University of Mankato tomorrow at 1 p.m. Go get them. Roll Beefs. Dalton, super excited for both Senior Day and the final, the championship final with the soccer game. What are you most excited for?
Yeah, the soccer game looks pretty exciting. The NSIC championship, we have our own Siriano Gudino going to be in the championship with them. She was a big contributor to them winning that semifinals, blocking the one penalty kick that they had, winning that game 5-4. So hopefully the championship isn't as intense, but it'll be a worth watching for sure if it is. So check them out tomorrow, 1 p.m. guys. We're going to kick it to a quick underwriting break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to have a hot topic segment. Going to be talking about the FBS playoffs here in a little bit.
Minot State's small enough that you get to experience a lot of good things. You get into radio right away, TV right away, work as a director, a producer, or a talent on the show. It's really fun to be involved doing all those things. We've got the new technical equipment. Everything you work with here, for the most part, is going to be out there in the real world. Neil Roberts is a great mentor. He has been seasoned in TV and radio and able to bring that experience to the classroom, and he's personable. He has a passion for it, and he wants everyone else to share that passion as well. I'm the director and producer of Inside Out. I work with a lot of different people and make sure that everyone's satisfied and everybody's working together to make communication what it is. Over this semester, everybody's worked together and found this rhythm with each other, and it all just comes together and makes a really nice finished product.
Welcome back to the Popeyes Saturday Showdown. Shout out to Popeyes for sponsoring this a pregame show of the Beavers. We appreciate them and all they do for us. Clayton, you're back in the big chair with me. I was getting a little lonely over here. I had no one to look at, and either I have to look at the camera or I have to look over here and do an awkward stare over there. So appreciate you getting back in here. We're going to talk a little local high school, FCS matchups, FBS matchups, and also our outlook on the playoffs this season as far as college football goes. But let's get right into it. You being the high school coach for Bishop Ryan, what were you expecting to see in the 11A championship this year?
11A championship, honestly, lost to Velva, didn't play Kindred, but I had a feeling that Velva was that team this year. They honestly, there's not a huge weakness on their in their team. Their D-line was pretty good. Their defense is just amazing, especially their linebacking core. Wide receivers, quarterback and running back, they had all the weapons, and they had some big boys up front on the O-line, so their offense was incredible. Their kicking game, I guess, was their maybe weak point, but honestly it really didn't phase them. So the score of the game, Velva winning, beating Kindred, didn't surprise me at all, and happy to see that the Velva Aggies win.
Yeah, just down the road from Minot. Velva winning the championship 14-12, a bit of a defensive battle over there in the Dome. That was going on at 9 a.m. yesterday, so that must have been I wouldn't have wanted to play a football game that early in the morning, especially if you're used to playing on Friday nights. But yeah, shout out to Velvet. That has to make you feel a little bit better, though, knowing that the team you guys lost to was the state championship.
Yeah, like I said, the way they dismantled us, we didn't play them at full strength. However, you didn't get the sense that, like, oh, we were going to pull that out if we were at full strength. Obviously, that's what you tell the boys, and we were excited for it. And, you know, anything can happen, certainly. But they were, like I said, a complete team. And shout out to them. Hats off to them. Super deserving. And, you know, hopefully we'll knock them off next year.
Yeah, well, we're going to take it over to the 11 AA championship. West Fargo Horace was taking on Grand Forks Red River. That was also a defensive battle as West Fargo won 14-8. That was going on yesterday at 12. And then the AAA championship was West Fargo Cheyenne versus number 3 Fargo Davies. Fargo Davies was the team that popped off against Minot High last week, I believe that was, and West Fargo took that one home 24-14. That was a little bit more of an entertaining game. That was last night. With that being said, we don't really have any insights to neither of those teams. We don't have a coach that we can bring in here and sit down and interview like we get the pleasure of having with Clayton. But we're going to kick over to FCS matchups today. The FCS is actually looking pretty packed today. If you want to check some of those games out, we're going to have number 2 Montana State at number 4 UC Davis. Not the graphic you're looking at right now, but number 5 USD is going to be taking on UND. Not that graphic either. That's all right. But UC Davis, back to the Montana State UC Davis game. UC Davis is coming off a 30-14 win over 10-ranked Montana. That was last week. That was on ESPN2. I got a chance to check that out. That was a good game. But Montana State versus UC Davis, that could be a huge game as far as knowing who's going to, how that game goes. Does Montana State really blow through UC Davis? I really believe in the top 3 teams are the teams to beat. And so I would be shocked if Montana State didn't come away with a victory. But if UC Davis does, that really shakes up the FCS as far as that goes. USD is going to go to UND today. That's going to be happening this afternoon. UND's coming off a big loss last week against SDSU. That kicked them out of the rankings, FCS rankings. And this week it's not going to get any easier with number 5 USD coming into town. And then number 14, Missouri State's going to NDSU. That's going to be in Fargo. Missouri State this year, they've been pretty underrated in my opinion. They're 8-2 right now. They're ranked 14, but that's definitely not a game that NDSU should be overlooking. But Missouri State, they have a tough battle. They're going to have to take on NDSU this week and then SDSU next week. So best of luck to them. But their only loss was against Montana. Their only FCS loss, was against Montana in that first in week 1, and that was when Montana was looking good, and the FCS really wasn't established yet on who the top teams were. But we'll kick it over to FBS matchups. Clayton, what do we got coming up today?
We got number 6 Tennessee taking on number 11 Georgia. Georgia is in the midst of a bit of a controversy, so we'll get into that just a second. Number 3 Texas takes on Arkansas. Should be taking care of that matchup, but Texas already has a loss on the season to Georgia. And so Texas is definitely a strong team, but yet also vulnerable. They just haven't played up to standard in some of these big games, and Arkansas, certainly no slouch, can definitely catch Texas sleeping. Number 1 Oregon takes on Wisconsin. They go to Madison for that game. Not seeing Oregon losing that game, but again, college football playoff, or not the playoff, excuse me, but the college football season is already shown to be anything but predictable. So we'll see how that goes. And then number 2, Ohio State takes on Northwestern. Again, not really something we see the Buckeyes losing, but hey, maybe the Wildcats pull out a wild one for them. So yeah, that's all that's really the big matchups for this week upcoming. Wish luck to all those teams that I mentioned.
Yeah, let's talk about the rankings this year. If we go into the AP Top 25, that's going to be quite the we've seen a lot of different teams hop in there, a lot of changes in that list this entire year. Oregon, right now, this is the top 25. The top 12 teams are the ones that make it, but the playoffs this year is different. So each of the winner of the top Big 5 Power 5 conferences, those teams automatically make it, okay? So, and the top 4 teams of those teams get a first-round bye, for those of you that might not know. So that kind of changes it up, because you can have a team that's not in the top 12 but can win their conference, and that means that the 12th team they're not going to make it to the playoffs. So that's going to be something interesting, to think about and check out. Just some teams that I kind of had that were shaken up and that, we can talk about as far as getting into it. That's the Georgia stuff that you were talking about. You want to talk about a little bit about the controversy going on there?
Yeah, so, everyone was making the argument this week that if the playoffs started today, Georgia would be out because Boise State's ranked 13, but they would theoretically win the Mountain West Conference, and so therefore they would be in the playoffs. Everyone freaked out about it, like we have to have Georgia in there. Georgia right now is a 2-loss team, and if Georgia were to miss the playoffs, which would mean they would have to probably lose another game out of this, then there would be a 3-loss team. And I don't care for a 3-loss team being in the playoff. Talented as Georgia is, they clearly can't seem to put it together if they have 3 losses in this hypothetical, right? Boise State doesn't play the competition that Georgia does. That's the argument against Boise State. But Boise State has no loss, or has 1 loss on the year to Oregon, and they've been playing phenomenally, and they have a phenomenal running back, Ashton Genty. Sorry for screwing up your name 2 weeks ago. But Georgia controls their destiny. They don't have an overly tough schedule. They have number 6 Tennessee. Should be able to win that game based off their talent alone. That's the argument that Georgia fans are making. If they lose again, that's a 3rd loss. I don't want to see Georgia in the playoff. Sorry to say it. Georgia's got the talent, like I said. They've got the pedigree. They got the coach. But if they can't put the rubber to the road here, there's no reason they should be getting into the playoff with teams that have 1 loss, 0 losses. Even 2-loss teams have been performing better than Georgia has all together this year.
Yeah, with the playoff talk that we have right now, we can pull up the playoff graphic that we have on for the screen for you guys. There's a lot of interesting things that go into this. So you look at the top 4 teams there. Even though BYU is ranked 6th right now, they are winning they're winning the Big 12. So they're a top 3 team. They're number 3. So they're going to get that first round bye. That's something interesting. And you see the first team out is Georgia. Even though Boise State's ranked 13, they're going to get in there because they're winning the Mountain West right now. There's still, a couple weeks that we have for the FBS remaining. So there's a lot of things that can happen, a lot of things that can go on to shake all this stuff up. But there's a team that I'm looking out for. That's Colorado. Last week we kind of bashed on them because I didn't think they had enough to make it. But here's the deal with them. If they win out, I don't think they get into the top 12. But if they win out and they beat BYU in the Big 12 championship, they're going to make it to the playoffs. So they could be proving me wrong. Does that shake up Travis Hunter's Heisman talk again last week? I don't know. Based on the argument we made last week, it should. But we'll see what happens there. That's going to be a lot of interesting stuff. But, the Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, and the Big Ten, any of those teams could be fighting for a championship there. And then the SEC is just ridiculous. There's Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. All those teams are in the top 15. I could see a realistic chance where all those teams could make it. It depends on the Georgia-Tennessee game, what happens there. If Tennessee wins, are they out?
Yeah, in the years past, there's usually a really strong SEC bias, so a lot of those teams typically do get in there, but the Big Ten is absolutely stacked too, with Oregon and the Pac-12 essentially merging with the Big Ten. Big Ten's not a conference to be joking with either. So, it's definitely going to shake up. Going back to Colorado real quick, they have the star power to go in there. Not only do they have Travis Hunter, a potential Heisman candidate, they have another potential Heisman candidate, which is Shedeur Sanders. That's going to be a game that's going to be a team people are going to want to see get in the playoffs. So definitely going to be really entertaining coming down the stretch. Georgia fans, don't freak out, just win out. And if you don't win out, you're not making the playoff.
So if you don't win out, freak out. That's what that means.
Indeed.
Well, that's going to wrap this segment up for today. Guys, check out the FBS games today. There's going to be Tennessee and Georgia. That's going to be the game to check out. And we'll see where the playoffs take us this year. This is going to be the last time we're talking to you guys today, though. So, how it goes out, how it ends up, we don't know. But it's going to be super fun. And I know if you're watching this show, you're probably going to be paying attention to it. But we want to kick it back to the Herb, guys. At 1 p.m., the Herb is going to be bumping, hopefully, for Senior Day. We're going to have one last chance for the Beavers to take on Winona State, and we want to wish them good luck. And thank you to all their seniors and everything that they do for Minot State and their football program. But with that being said, we also want to give one last shout out to Popeyes. They've been sponsoring us this whole year, and we appreciate all that they do for us. Check them out in Minot at 328th Avenue Southwest. We want to thank them for all that they do. We're gonna end this show right now, but we have a episode of Inside the Dam going to be going live at 2 p.m. on Monday. That's going to be one you guys are going to want to check out, as well as Inside Out, going to be 5 p.m. on Thursday. Getting to the end of the semester, a lot of seasons are ending, and it's going to be a fun couple of weeks. So, well, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for staying